Californians used to sell maps of celebrity homes, not landmines. Now, instead of sightseeing, tourists play hopscotch so their shoes don't get hepatitis. And when residents complain, they're called cruel. And now we're supposed to believe Gavin? Hell no. All the problems of the last decade were based on his and his party's lies. Then came the national polling. By overwhelming majorities, it turns out Americans don't favor minors transitioning. So last week, when a California law was proposed that judges in custody cases favor the parent who supports transitioning a child's new gender, Newsom killed that law quicker than a late-term abortion. Yeah, I know, huh? Now the left, being the left, was outraged, but they missed something, because now Newsom says he only vetoed it since it's already the law.
Greg Gutfeld just shredded Gavin Newsom over his latest stunt, and it was pure comedy gold. The Fox News host torched Newsom for flip-flopping on his failed woke policies in California. And the takedown was absolutely savage at SO. Smash that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's dive in.
So Newsom is fed up with tent cities, the crime, the urban decay? No, he's not mad about that stuff. He's mad you noticed. It's like a criminal telling a jury he's sorry he robbed 25 banks when he's just sorry he got caught on the 26th. Because this isn't some spontaneous crisis. It's a man-made disaster like Chernobyl or Fox and Friends.
Greg Gutfeld kicked off the show by tearing into Gavin Newsom's glaring hypocrisy, and he didn't hold back. According to Gutfeld, Newsom is a definition of a political performer, a man who thrives on optics rather than results. The California governor, he argued, doesn't truly believe half of what comes out of his own mouth. Instead, he's constantly playing to the cameras, pretending to love California, while reciting rehearsed lines about the state's greatness. But behind the flowery rhetoric lies a hard truth. California is crumbling under his leadership. Homelessness is exploding. Crime is rising, and businesses are fleeing in droves. And here's the kicker. When the public starts to notice the wreckage, Newsom suddenly acts outraged at the very mess he helped engineer. That Gutfeld's point was clear. Newsom doesn't solve problems. He manufactures them, then pretends to fight them once the spotlight demands it.
Why do I keep bringing up Gavin? Well, other than my respect for his work in American Psycho, he's starting to distance himself from his party's worst ideas. Newsom, a guy who hates fossil fuels but could still bring down the price of gas by wringing out his hair, once proclaimed that his state would be a sanctuary to all who seek it. Then people actually came.
That's an interesting point. But let's be honest, he's absolutely right. California is a complete mess right now, and no amount of political spin can cover it up. The state that once stood as the golden dream of America, drawing people from across the nation and the world, is now watching its own residents flee in record numbers. Cities that used to be magnets for ambition, innovation, and prosperity are crumbling under the weight of skyrocketing crime, rampant homelessness, and suffocating taxes. Families who once came chasing opportunity are packing up their bags and heading for states that actually value safety, affordability, and freedom. The California dream has turned into a California nightmare, and people are voting with their feet. When droves once flocked in, now droves are fleeing out, leaving behind a state that feels more deserted and dysfunctional with each passing year.
Inflate order with authoritarianism, you get chaos and destruction. So if restoring order is evil, then the Dems are now the party of disorder. Turns out the only system they had was wokeism, and it rotted any basic principles the party had to begin with. Which is why, like Gavin himself, they're left looking at 2028's hopes going up in flames. And this time, no one is going to help them put it out.
Gutfeld leaned in hard, ripping Gavin Newsom apart for luring people in with promises of opportunity, only to frustrate them with endless taxes, suffocating regulations, and bloated bureaucracies. According to Gutfeld, Newsom has turned California into a place where dreams go to die, unless, of course, you're a well-connected politician or celebrity. The irony is staggering. California once stood as a land of sunshine, freedom, and boundless possibility. But under Newsom's leadership, even Hollywood, the crown jewel of the state's identity, is packing up and heading elsewhere. The once thriving movie industry, which put California on a global map, is fleeing to states with friendlier tax codes and fewer headaches. That's right. When filmmakers would rather shoot in Georgia or New Mexico than in Los Angeles, you know something's broken. That Gutfeld's takedown made it clear. Newsom isn't just driving out people. He's driving out California's very soul.
The problem is his track record, his performance as mayor, as lieutenant governor, and governor. And your analogies are great. I think mine are better. And just hold on. And here's why. He shows up at the fires and says, who the hell caused this? I'm going to crack down on the people responsible. He sees the homeless encampments blocking the sidewalks and said, you guys clean that up. He started it. He spent $3 billion to fix it. And his opening words in 2020 when he got the job is a disgrace. The richest state in the country and the richest nation of the world has a homeless problem. I will fix it. He spends $1 billion when it's not fixed. He blames the mayors. And he also forced the movie industry and Silicon Valley out of the best state in the country by high taxes. I've never seen someone such a bad performance, but yet I think he's the front runner to get the nomination for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They got nobody else. Sherrod, welcome back.
Gutfeld was pointing to a very specific moment. The order Trump enforced in California during the heated anti-IC protests at first, when the demonstration spiraled out of control and violence erupted. Governor Gavin Newsom sat on his hands. He refused to send in the police, leaving businesses and neighborhoods to fend for themselves while chaos spread. According to Gutfeld, this wasn't leadership. It was cowardice wrapped in political calculation. But the real drama began when Trump finally stepped in, deploying the National Guard to restore order. Suddenly, Newsom found his voice, not to protect Californians, but to blast Trump for what he called interference in his state. The hypocrisy, Gutfeld noted, was glaring. Newsom had no problem letting his own people suffer, but when Trump acted to protect them, he threw a tantrum. It was yet another example of Newsom caring more about optics than actual governance.
So last week, Newsom said he hopes the conservative Supreme Court will overturn the current law that bans his state from removing out-of-control homeless encampments. Imagine that. Well, what did you expect, Gavin? That the sanctuary seekers were going to show up in Winnebagos? Once again, another example of a high-profile lib using his big mouth to write a check his ass can't cash. Last year, after the Texas Governor Abbott ordered that parents of transitioning children should face criminal investigation, Newsom then tweeted this: trans kids and their families should be celebrated, not targeted by the state. They are heroes. And so to fearful families in Texas right now, California's door is always open to you.
You might be tempted to think that everything Killmeat is saying is exaggerated or made up. But then you look at what investigators have revealed about the devastating California wildfires. According to one report, the blaze wasn't simply an act of nature. Instead, it was traced back to the negligence of a major electricity company, ironically one of Gavin Newsom's campaign sponsors. Investigators found that this company had refused to properly upgrade its aging equipment despite repeated warnings about the risks. The outdated machines eventually malfunctioned, sparked, and ignited a firestorm that tore through communities. Families lost their homes, properties were reduced to ashes, and lives were upended, all because a powerful corporation chose profit over safety. The fact that the same company funneled money into Newsom's political career only makes the situation look worse, raising serious questions about where his loyalties truly lie.
What do you think about Gavin Newsom? What's going on there?
I don't know. I don't know how they bump out Kamala out of VIP, put a white male in there and take her out. She's got too much of an ego to just step aside. She's going to go crazy if they try to do that.
Plus, she had a strong 2% support, so don't forget that.
Yeah, but she's waiting for that spot to just open for her, and then you put a white male in there.
Yeah.
There's no. I don't know how they're going to put. I mean, they did it to Bernie. They threw him under the bus two, presidential ones in a row. They just gave him a couple extra houses in Vermont. Go, yeah, you got some extra money. But I don't know how they could do it with her.
Yeah, it'd be great if they threw her under the bus because she really likes buses. Remember?
And that, Gutfeld argued, is how Gavin Newsom managed to boost California's already skyrocketing rates of homelessness by openly inviting people running from the law in other states to come hide out in his so-called sanctuary paradise. But it doesn't stop there. When it comes to controversial social issues, Newsom has been just as reckless. Take, for instance, the bill he oversaw regarding gender transitioning for minors. Under this legislation, children could bypass their parents entirely, confide only in teachers or school staff, and begin counseling without ever notifying their families. Critics slammed the bill as a dangerous attack on parental rights, and for good reason. Parents across the state were outraged, terrified at the idea of life-altering decisions being made behind their backs. Instead of protecting family bonds, Newsom sided with policies that effectively cut parents out of the most sensitive and critical moments in their children's lives.
Californians used to sell maps of celebrity homes, not landmines. Now, instead of sightseeing, tourists play hopscotch so their shoes don't get hepatitis. And when residents complain, they're called cruel. And now we're supposed to believe Gavin? Hell no. All the problems of the last decade were based on his and his party's lies.
I don't think Gavin Newsom will make an excellent replacement for Kamala Harris. Far from it. Going for Newsom over Kamala Harris is like deserting a sinking ship for one that's already on fire. Either way, you're doomed. They are, in truth, two sides of the same coin, both grossly incompetent, and neither has the vision or leadership qualities America desperately needs right now. While Kamala Harris is infamous for her incoherent word salads and awkward laughter, Gavin Newsom hides behind long-winded speeches that say absolutely nothing. He's a master of political theater, talking endlessly, smiling for the cameras, but never delivering solutions. At least with Kamala, you know you'll get confusion. With Newsom, you get polished evasion. Different styles, same disastrous results. Swapping one for the other doesn't solve anything. It only ensures the failures continue, packaged in slightly different wrapping.
Then came the national polling. By overwhelming majorities, it turns out Americans don't favor minors transitioning. So last week, when a California law was proposed that judges in custody cases favor the parent who supports transitioning a child's new gender, Newsom killed that law quicker than a late-term abortion. Yeah, I know, huh? Now, the left, being the left, was outraged, but they missed something, because now Newsom says he only vetoed it since it's already the law.
California is going down the drain, and much of it can be traced back to the lies Gavin Newsom has told. He promised that California would be a model for clean energy, yet the state faces rolling blackouts every summer while utility companies hike rates. He vowed to tackle homelessness, pouring billions into programs, but homelessness has only skyrocketed, with encampments spreading like wildfire across Los Angeles, San Francisco, and beyond. He claimed California's economy was thriving, yet businesses are fleeing in record numbers to states like Texas and Florida, desperate to escape suffocating taxes and regulations. And let's not forget his bold assurances about public safety, only for violent crime and retail theft to surge under his watch. Time and again, Newsom's words have painted a rosy picture that collapses under reality. The result, a state once seen as a land of dreams is now spiraling into chaos under his failed leadership. Newsom is about as woke as they come, and his policies prove it. He has shown time and again that he's willing to push radical ideas, even if it means harming children in the process. So long as it fits his progressive agenda, one of the most controversial examples is his support for legislation that allows minors to pursue gender transition treatments without full parental involvement, a move critics argue could leave kids scarred physically and emotionally for life. Beyond that, Newsom constantly panders to the LGBTQ+ lobby, bending over backward to prove his loyalty to their causes, even when it comes at the expense of parents' rights or community standards. For him, politics is less about solving real problems like crime, homelessness, or the collapsing economy, and more about signaling allegiance to identity-based groups that, in short, Newsom's obsession with pandering has left California worse off, with ordinary citizens paying the price in the end. Gavin Newsom is nothing more than a slick salesman, peddling lies, pandering to special interests, and hiding behind endless speeches that California's decline under his watch speaks louder than his polished words. From homelessness to crime to failed policies, the evidence is undeniable that Newsom's leadership isn't progress. It's destruction dressed up as virtue. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this.